Welcome to yet another episode of Sustainable Living with Shilpa Reddy, powered by Planet Green Farm Natura, a new beginning to your life. Today, on another episode of Homecrop Explore with Shilpa, I'm here to show you all one of the most beautiful farm in Hyderabad, which is owned by Ravi and Kavita Manta. To be honest, I want to share a secret. I've been on this farm much before I even started my organic farming. In fact, I came to see how it's all done, and I was so impressed and I was so motivated to start my own farm. So I wanted to show this to you all, my lovely viewers. Wait and watch what we are going to explore. Today we have with us Ravi and Kavita Manta. I've known them for many years, amazing couple who are into sustainable practices. I would probably like to call them conscious couple. Hi Ravi. Hi Kavita.
Hi Shilpa, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure is mine. And I also wanted to tell you all that this is the farm they've started and did everything from the scratch. And I want them to explain you all what wonderful job they did with this piece of property. Let's begin from your farm.
So, I mean, ideas like this, like you said, consciousness, this is actually was a unconsciously conscious effort. I remember when Ravi and I started dating in 1998, he told me he wanted to come back to India and become a farmer. So I really had no leg to stand on when in 2014 he said, you know, the time is now and we're going to go back and do this. So in a long way, I think the journey was always part of, this whole thing is just a manifestation of an idea that he's had for a very long time. And then everything from there on, naturally, organically, just grew from a place where, you know, we had young kids. We wanted to make sure we were sustainable in terms of what we were providing. We lived in Singapore for a long time, where obviously everything comes from outside, you know.
Correct.
Hardly anything is produced. So to go from that culture to a culture where we were able to sustain our families' needs was sort of the driving force that got us started back in 2014.
We were very lucky. I mean, we literally came back in 2014 and bought this piece of land here. And it was a village road at the time. It's a single lane, and now it's much closer to the city because of the road, the new road.
Right.
And it was just completely barren, not even a fence around it. And we started literally from scratch. 2016 is when we really got going. So
Right.
Typically a sustainable farm is a 10-year project. So we're 4 out of 10, I would say, at the moment, 4 years out of 10.
Okay.
So every year we keep adding more elements, and the whole point is authenticity. So we're soil farmers. We make soil, and then what we get out of it is the surplus, the food that comes out. So we actually take coffee grounds from the city, from a couple of big coffee shops. So our trucks go in with vegetables, they come back with coffee grounds.
Okay.
And we compost them here. Composting is a big part of Sage and Baby Elephant Farm. And the principles behind the farm are, it's called Baby Elephant Farm actually because my second book on nutrition is called the Baby Elephant Diet.
Okay.
And it's implementing the principles of nutrition from that book, which is healthy food, local food, and lots of fiber, and a huge variety. So we have over 50 different types of vegetables that are grown here, plus fruit. And then we have our own animals, our chickens and eggs, and our goats come from here as well.
Yes.
So everything we're doing is not just living our own life in a sustainable way, but also trying to share that experience with the city as
Wonderful.
well.
And I'm sure it wasn't easy. You know, I know what it takes to develop just a small piece of land. And how many acres is this now?
It's 70. And then we have another 20 further down the road. So.
Wonderful. I want to know how it all started. Meaning the kind of hard work you had to put in to make it look like this today.
Bit by bit, really. A lot of the farming effort is, understanding what the soil can produce, what is actually, as Ravi mentioned, our business is really to make sure that the soil is enriched and everything that comes out of that is a benefit to us. But understanding that soil, making sure that that soil is being nurtured, filling in the gaps for whatever is required to make sure that you're getting a wholesome meal. A lot of people ask us, is this really a sustainable way to go? And really for us the answer is, we don't take care of the soil, then what else could possibly be sustainable? So we started off with one little patch across the farm, trying to just grow brinjal. And what we realized was that the whole idea of permaculture was one, but also the whole idea of growing with native seeds and really not worrying about the yield, but focusing more on just enriching your produce. The flavors that we were getting out of our vegetables were just things that people were able to recognize and differentiate.
Absolutely.
And that's really what got us going from doing, a small little patch to what is now about 8 to 10 acres of the farm are now being cultivated for all kinds of things. So every venture like this, I guess, starts really small. So I'll take you now to where this journey really began for us, in a very, very small way, that we were able to start growing vegetables and really understand the difference that we could bring into people's lives.
Sure, let's go.
Great.
So one of the things that we pay a lot of attention to is the greens. They are often very susceptible to transfer.
Right.
So we have a cold truck that comes here every Wednesday and Saturday morning during that's when we have the weekly markets at Sage.
Right.
And so the leaves are plucked fresh in the morning and then sent from there. So even though we work with a whole lot of other farmers and we encourage them to engage in farming as well, greens are the one thing that we find that the longer they spend in transit, the more poorly they are transferred, the easier the chance of them losing their nutrition value, which sort of takes away from everything. So we have everything from beautiful palak to gongura, methi, kothmeer, mint, totukura.
I can't resist coriander.
I mean, that's really the best part. I mean, this is really the
Try the
reason
gongura.
why we started farming, so you should be able to come here,
Shilpa, try the gongura.
pick it right
Wow.
off the
Really nice.
plant and pop it in your mouth. Just
Wow. Oh my God. I
Yeah, have more of that. Exactly. This you can
That
literally.
nice tangy
Yeah.
taste. Oh.
And this really was the inspiration for a lot of the food at Sage as well. I mean, when we think of a salad, we only think about kale,
Right.
and, broccoli and lettuce and things like that. And those are not local greens. They hardly have the depth of flavor that gongura that just popped in your mouth with that energy that you give to
Absolutely.
it. It's so fantastic in a salad.
It's a little ironic actually, because I'm a Telugu and Kavita is a Tamilian, and in the early years of marriage, when we would source gongura in the US, and it's not a leaf that that's they're familiar with in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
It's very much a Telugu thing. So I would boast that this is the best leaf ever, and it's a Telugu thing, and to get this healthy, like a rivalry about it.
Right.
And now it's become like the mainstay of our farm and the cafe as well. It's such a healthy leaf, gongura.
Another disappearing breed of insects. Ladybird.
Ah, okay. But this leaf is so yum.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's been definitely one of our, this is what inspires food. Just being able to see it here, realizing that the demand is so constant compared to the seasonality of the foods. That's really how a lot of our food journey began, which is what got us deeper into farming. Because there was a very strong recognition that seasonal vegetables were not being consumed the way they were growing. Most families land up eating almost the same menu week on week, all through the year.
Correct.
And it's the kind of lifestyle we lead right now. It's easy to have one set menu and help your maids understand how to cook that and then continually get the same things. But when produce is in abundance, 2 months back we had no greens. Everything was getting washed out with every rain that came
exactly.
by. And now we have this lush, beautiful green. And if there are no takers for it, then that's a really sad moment. So the whole food philosophy with Sage was that we don't procure anything externally. We don't have any set recipes for any of our
that's the beauty.
any of our dishes. Whatever is in the pantry, whatever is available, whatever hasn't sold out, that's really what we'll end up using and making. And in fact, today for the first time, my mother tasted potlakai salad. And she said, how can you put potlakai, raw potlakai in a salad? I just waited 5 minutes until she tasted it, and I know she's going to be making that recipe pretty soon.
I tasted potlaka in Isha.
Snake gourd, yeah.
Right.
We'll go visit all the other animals now.
Oh,
Now that we met Oreo and Kia. Okay. We've got microgreens here. We've got wheatgrass growing in here. This is actually chana.
Chana, okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic to extremely nutrition. So this is sort of our experimenting bed where we do a lot of this. And some of these actually get dried in our solar dryer,
Okay.
and then we powder them, and that way they have a much longer shelf life
Right.
and are extremely nutritional because solar drying actually maintains the nutritional value of
Correct.
the leaf really well.
So solar dry them and then powder them and use them later on.
And then you can just add it into your smoothies and
Correct.
stuff like that. It's a great way to add some
Okay.
extra protein and nutrition without changing the flavor too much. So these are all our egg layers.
Okay.
Most of our chicken have a healthier diet than a lot of human beings. All the excess from the farm comes to them. So, you know, the reason they grabbed your coriander is because they're used to actually eating a lot of that. So we make
And
sure
without pesticide, all organic.
Absolutely.
These guys have a sensitivity to all of this food, right?
Yeah.
Much more than human beings do.
See,
So we've got a variety here. We've got that's Kadaknath right there with
The black one?
The black chickens, yeah.
We've got some guinea hens as well hiding somewhere. Right there.
Oh, okay.
The guinea fowl, yeah. So basically, you are what you eat, and you are what you eat eats.
All right.
So you have to, you have to control the feed of your animals in order to be healthy. Especially nowadays with increased meat consumption.
Right.
And if you don't know what those animals are being fed, that's a serious problem because it shows up in your health down the line. So we take a lot of care in making sure our animals are fed literally pretty much what we would eat normally.
He's 5 years old.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Minos.
Minos.
Yeah. And the
What a cool name you have, Minos.
entire litter here is his progeny.
Wow.
So he's had a productive 4-5 years that he's been on the farm here.
Wonderful. Are we going to see the lambs now, the little ones? Okay. Oi. Oh, see, the umbilical cord is still there. So he's. Oh. This one is born yesterday, and if you see, the cord is still hanging from her belly button. Gorgeous. So tiny, so tiny. So tiny.
Still not afraid of humans yet.
Oh, you're hungry? Okay, I'll put you down. Look at the little, the line that she has. Wow, lovely pattern. And they are also very young. So these are just 1 day old. And look at the gorgeous pattern they have on their backs. Okay.
composting is a huge aspect of what we do, which requires, about an acre and a half across the farm. Farm is actually dedicated just to composting.
Wow.
Both Sage Farm Cafe, as well as Baby Elephant Farm are actually zero waste facilities where we don't have any municipal company coming in to take any waste. So I'm actually going to show you a little
Zero
bit of
waste.
Zero waste, yeah.
Wow.
Show you a composting pit right around here. This is also where we do a lot of our composting. As I was mentioning, zero waste. Every paper and food waste from the cafe comes out here. All the waste within the farm comes out here. We also work with Hyatt. We collect all of their waste and we come here and we age it and we make compost with it.
Wow.
We work with Roastery, get all of their coffee beans. Those are again
The
incredible
grounds.
forms of carbon. All of that comes here and pits get made, and each of them, although composting is taken at different levels. At home it's great if you compost something and it's about a month old and you reuse it.
Right.
From a farm perspective, the more you age it, the more the nutritional value increases. So all these pits that you see all around are actually just compost that are aging and are turned over on a repeated basis to make sure that moisture and that nutritional composition of the compost actually improves.
Wonderful. So even the cafe's waste comes here.
Entire.
Wow.
So even the cafe, even though it's in Jubilee Hill, we don't have any MCH coming here. They're coming there. So we work with a company that picks up all our dry waste.
Okay.
So obviously we are a zero waste company. We don't have any plastic on our premise, but whatever from a packaging perspective, anything that comes goes out as a dry waste. We work with Chroma for our electronic waste. Everything else, from the paper to the food, to the plates that we serve food on, disposable plates, which are compostable. Everything comes here and then gets processed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So impressive, Kavita, really.
A lot of dry hay, you've got a lot of the waste, and then once all of that goes down, then layers of Jivamrit and medicine are put on top of it, so that the antibacterial properties of it take over. And then the first 3 weeks we leave it untouched. After the first 3 weeks, it is then turned over on a weekly basis.
Turned
to
over
make
meaning?
You'll actually pick this up and you
And
will literally
turn it around.
turn it
Oh,
around,
okay.
and then do the same process of adding the Jivamrit on top so that it covers it and protects it a little bit. After about 2 months, we then cover it with a tarp or something to just keep the moisture and let it grow.
Okay.
And anywhere between 3 to 6 months is when we actually take out and use a pile of
Oh, it takes that long,
it
is
takes that
it?
long, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, composting at any point in time, it will give you more than what the soil has.
Correct.
So even if you're using 2-month-old or
Right,
3-month-old,
right.
it's perfectly fine. But the longer you keep it, the composition
The
just changes
value.
to yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So this
No
is
wonder it's called black gold.
Likewise, absolutely.
exactly, yeah. And we have a lot more on the other side. As we walk through the farm, I will take you through
Okay.
all of that.
Sure. So this is another
This
stage.
is exactly. So these are the early stages.
Oh, this is the
And then
early
they will
stages.
start to get reduced and put down.
I would think this is already ready, but I didn't know
No,
it
no,
was
no,
going
no.
to be so
Not
long.
at all. This is still very, very early.
It's early.
So Ravi, this is new. I don't think I saw this last time. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, this is azola. So on any farm, especially an organic farm, the challenge is to provide a healthy and balanced meal to the animals, to the chickens and to the cows. And azola is a very fast-growing algae. It's a protein. It grows in a couple of days and fills the whole pond. And we can harvest that and use it to feed the cows, and then it replenishes itself just on water every couple of days, water and sunlight. So it's a very natural and very healthy form of protein for the animal feed.
So even for chickens and goats
And for the cows,
and
cows
the
and
cow.
chickens.
They look beautiful.
They
too.
say that algae and seaweed are going to save the world because you can grow all this protein at a very, very low cost and in a very sustainable way.
Oh.
It's better than animal protein.
But this is not edible for humans.
Azolla is not edible for humans,
Okay.
but lots of seaweed is edible.
Correct, yeah. So Ravi, I saw a big tank where we, went to see the composting pits.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, that's where we do the fish waste composting. So we actually go to the local fish market in the afternoon when they're done with all the cutting and all the
Right.
all their sales, and we take all the waste material from the fish
Okay.
and we bring it over here and we make fish amino acid with it
Wow.
by composting it. It's really good for the plants. And it's also great because the municipality loves us. They don't have to deal with this really smelly thing that they have to take to the dump yard.
Right.
So if we can do more of that, I think that'll be very useful for the community. Or
Okay.
things that should be composted and reused should be reused. That should.
How
be,
long fish composting take?
It's about 4 months, I think.
Yeah.
About 4 months?
Yeah,
4
3 to
months.
4 months for any really
And it-
good,
Yeah, and it comes out as this liquid gold, literally, the amino acid, and it's really good for the.
You
for the
spray it
plants.
on the plants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spray it on the
Dilute it
plants.
So
and
it's diluted,
Diluted,
yeah. So
exactly.
almost 1:10 dilution.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then it's a great way to keep the pests away, but also nurture the plant.
Okay.
It has a lot of micronutrients and amino acids. A lot of, these days you have the, other types of farming like hydroponics,
Correct.
right, which is pretty much in a chemical nutrient solution.
Right.
So you're missing out on a lot of the micronutrients that are from soil and from
soil.
natural amino acids.
Right.
So our product is a little different because we, want to, first of all, utilize the community's waste, but at the same time turn it into produce that is actually really healthy for you and that's natural.
Yeah. It's like filth to wealth.
Absolutely.
So you all see this beautiful banyan tree. The trunk is huge, but then you see no branches. There's an interesting story behind this tree, and I want Ravi to tell you guys what it took for this tree to come here and how she's thriving.
When we bought this land, it was completely barren, so we wanted to put some fully grown trees on it because growing a tree takes 25 years. So we had gone to a few of the nurseries and we're looking at some of these exotic trees that are not native to Telangana that people are putting in their homes and stuff, and we were not particularly impressed. And then one evening we got a message on Facebook from the Tree Protection Society in Hyderabad that said there's this 100-year-old banyan tree in this village square in Kartyal that is being chopped down because of a road widening. And so much construction is happening, our city is developing, which is good news. But the bad news is that all these beautiful trees that are native are being chopped down unnecessarily. So we thought we would do something about it, and we actually sent a crane over to this village 90 kilometers away, and we transplanted the whole great banyan. We had to remove a lot of the branches and stuff, but the main trunk, and we brought her here and transplanted and put it here two years ago, and she's now growing leaves and survived and is thriving. And the most amazing thing is that a couple of months ago we discovered Apis indica, which is the Indian honeybee, which is a very picky customer because it doesn't come to places where there's any chemicals or pesticides. It's very sensitive. It's like the canary in the coal mine, so it's a very sensitive honeybee. But we found that the honeybee has come onto the farm, and not only that, they've made their nest, their hive, the beehive, inside the hollow of the great banyan. So we're very, very pleased about that. And I really would love to request people in Hyderabad, who want to put trees on their farm to look for existing fully grown trees that are being perhaps chopped down in construction and road widening projects, rather than going for non-native species.
So where are you taking me next, Kavita?
So this was one part of our sustainable journey, and now we actually want to introduce you to our architecture and how the whole house and the farmhouse came out to be, and what we're doing now with regards to farm stays, so people can enjoy this experience as well.
Oh, nice. Sure. So the next part I'm really waiting to see is the way you built your home.
Being into health and wellness, it didn't sit well with me that you live in a cement house.
Okay.
We make brick ovens out of cement and bricks.
Right.
So it's so hot inside. And the air quality is also very important long term if you're staying at a place. So we decided to build our home with natural materials. So the walls are made out of compressed bricks, mud bricks that we actually compressed here on site.
Oh, you got them made here?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then, the plastering is limestone. And the way we've done it is the very high ceilings. So the warm air goes up and then it comes out just from the breeze. It gets taken out of the house.
Okay.
So they're naturally cool. Actually, it's 7 or 8 degrees cooler in these homes than in the houses in the city. So
I'm
it's actually,
sure.
even in the winter you need like heavy coats,
Really?
and we don't need air conditioning.
And-
Even in the summer, it's
Right.
absolutely fine to live in, and the smell, the quality, and the walls are breathing because they're mud bricks,
Right.
so they're semi porous.
Porous. So there's a circulation of air that's happening.
And the flooring is the natural tandoor.
Let's go see. Before we talk about it, I'm so curious to go see.
This is by far one of the best papaya trees ever.
Which one?
This one.
Oh,
Fruit is seedless. But
Okay.
And the sweetest, nicest
it's
fruit that you can
huge.
actually have. It's huge, yeah.
And it's still growing. It's just
Right.
it's a massive tree.
Strong guy.
Yeah, started all the way from here, so the new branches are just about coming out.
So Kavita is a big fan of flowers, and I thought I would be relieved of the responsibility for getting her flowers if I just got her a flower garden instead. So
this is the entire-
this is the perfume garden. It's just outside our bedroom window,
Oh, wow.
and you literally have to smell your way through it because these are all like very beautiful. And this is
The
the right
fragrance.
time of the evening. Just at
Okay.
sunset is when the smells come out.
Sit this, yes, slow.
Oh my
fragrance.
God, yes. Now they're intense.
Yeah, and then that's the samping over there, which has a completely different flavor. It's just
Okay.
beautiful.
So, Kavita, were you always such a good cook? I mean, good cook means not just good, but then cooking, keeping all the nutrition intact.
So honestly, I really think the produce from this farm is what inspired my journey, and I still find it quite astonishing when I look back at some of the recipes that I came and wonder back, how did that come? Was it always in you? But really the moment, Shilpa, I still remember was we had done our first crop of beetroot. They were beautiful, big red beetroots. And as you know, we do the farmers market twice a
Right.
week at Sage, so all the vegetables go in from here.
That's
to
on Tuesdays,
every Wednesday, and
Wednesday
Saturday.
and Saturday?
Yeah, so the
Farmers
fresh
market.
vegetables get picked from here, brought there. We work with a bunch of other farmers and bring it in.
Okay.
And I knew how hard we had worked on this produce, and I walked back after all the vegetables all the baskets had gone out to the customers. I walked into the cold storage to see one huge basket of beetroots left, and it literally broke my heart. The thought that they wouldn't actually have their moment in somebody's table was very, very depressing. And all these foods have, maybe a beetroot could survive a week, 10 days, but
Right.
most of the vegetables perish within 4 to 5 days.
Right.
So you have to make sure something is done to them, and that, they're somehow productively utilized for all the effort and energy that's gone into them. And so a lot of the recipes actually just came from there, because my first 2 ingredients along with the beetroot was gongura. And so the first dish that I made was actually a beetroot and gongura soup.
And I must stop you here because when I had the salad at Sage many years back, I have not seen anyone use gongura like the way you used it. And I was like, wow, I didn't know it could be, used in such contemporary food as well.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, there's Asian food that uses gongra a lot. They use
Okay.
the greens in their stir fries, etc. And we just, for us, gongra has never been elevated into any kind of cuisine. And
Right.
for me, it was really important that we were working with what was local and it was just in abundance. And really. So we then did a broth with it, which is beautiful with a little bit of ginger. So it's just
Wow.
that natural flavor. We always chase after the lemon, which are obviously stunning and have a complexity, but gongra can add so much to your food without actually going all the way there. So it was really all of Sage Farm's menu. The credit really goes to the Baby Elephant Farm. Just looking at that produce, understanding where it came from, and just knowing that it needed to be used in effective ways was really how the food philosophy started.
And I really, love the fact when we came to your place, you were the one who was coming, and that culture is not there in India. I was like, wow, that is like passion to another level.
I know, it's been my baby for so long. So whenever my kids feel they're not being tended to, they always understand that they have another sibling in the form of Sage who always takes attention away from them. And I'm very excited to share that my newest baby is called Sava.
Is that your expansion plan?
That's right.
Please
yeah.
share those with us.
There's a wonderful lady called Miss Kativara who's actually from the fashion and scene, and she had this beautiful store called Melange, which was actually
it's a
brought
very
in all the designers
been there
of the
for
last
many years.
27 years.
So she is journeying into health and wellness, and I'm privileged to actually partner with her. So we're taking the Melange space and turning it into a wholesome food museum of sorts, where a lot of the ethos of the food at Sage will be promoted there as well, connecting people to farmers and genuinely understanding local produce.
We are so proud of you, really. You're going pan-India, and that's wonderful. Now, that to a city like Bombay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you. All of your wishes, as I've had them here, to do well there.
So it's like the latest, like the newest project.
It is the newest project. So we just about in the process of opening doors as we speak.
Wonderful.
So we start with the event tomorrow. We have a sound healing session happening. It's a stunning place. It's a cellar. So it lends itself very naturally to stuff that I love to do, which is fermenting, and because it is a wine cellar actually. So we're actually going back to the ages, and the entire store is going to be filled with kombucha jars and natural pickles and all of those, and really get people to think back to preservation and conservation and really extending and saving seasonal produce.
Wonderful. This is so exciting, really. And a little more about your house. I don't think we got to speak about it. I want to also see the kind of tiles that you used for your, your home.
Yeah, we'll walk in a little bit, and then you can see some of the. So the fun thing about these walls is because they are limestone, they change color through the year. They were coated with jaggery, so some bits are a little brown. As they get exposed to the sun, they start to change color. So you can see a lot of the pattern out here.
So why jaggery?
Jaggery as a sealing as well as a cooling, also an antibiotic in general for the for the
When mixed with limestone.
Yeah.
Really? I thought jaggery is only for sweetening and
Very traditional.
Yeah, we did have issues with ants, but no, the limestone keeps that out.
Okay.
So
yeah, please.
So we used all natural materials across the entire house.
Yeah, let them come inside now.
You can see the tandoor flooring here.
So yeah, so all the hot edges escapes from the vents up there.
Yeah.
I love this handloom.
Yeah, I just wanted to repurpose saris into
Also
curtains.
you
actually,
So this tandoor is a natural flooring from, it's very local from Tandoor.
Tandoor flooring.
And
It's
the
beautiful.
tiles are the Mangalore tiles
Gloss.
from Kerala.
So These are the tiles that you'll actually have to see from inside. So there's actually 2 layers.
Okay.
So you'll see on the outside it's a different pattern and the inside is different.
Different pattern.
So there's 2 tiles that actually sit on top of each other, and that it also acts as an insulator. So a lot of the heat actually gets trapped between them.
Trapped
Between them.
trapped between
Yeah.
them.
So
Does it
which
come
again
through?
keeps the rooms a lot cooler.
And the moment we walked in, there was a sudden drop of temperature as if the ACs are on, but then everyone says single AC.
No, that is actually eventually, if ever we needed it, we set it up, but we've never had a
Need for
to
it.
actually put the air conditioning on.
Oh, this is unbelievable. I don't know why we don't, like put this out there, and then most of us should be doing this. Given the fact that we live in a tropical country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to conclude by asking you, how can every home become sustainable? Not entirely like the way you guys do it here, but 3 most important things that everyone should adopt to kind of, have a zero wastage, or any 3 important things.
I think the first thing I would say is don't aim too high.
Okay.
When people, the zero waste is as encouraging as it is also discouraging to start off, because to think about getting rid of everything that you have in your household is very challenging. It's also expensive. You can change everything to glass, but you have little kids running around the house, the glass breaks, there's issues that can happen.
Right.
So the first thing I say to people is you've got to, between reduce, reuse and recycle, reduce is absolutely the biggest key.
Okay.
You have got to reduce your consumption of single-use plastic. That is an absolute must.
Right.
That's the easiest one to do. Everybody should aim for that. Reduce the amount of clothing that you purchase. Make sure that clothing is not a waste that people talk enough about, but it's a huge crisis.
It is.
The amount of water being used, the amount of the piles of clothes being thrown away because of the fast fashion. So reduce what you are consuming, whether it is food. Cook as much as your household needs. If it's a little less, that's perfectly okay. We're all promoting intermittent fasting, but we have a problem with the fact that we cooked a little too much. Everybody wants to make sure there was enough and left over. Reduce it a little bit. Let it just be enough for the family to actually have. So more than 3 things, I'd say just focus on one thing. At every aspect of your life, look at how you can reduce consumption. And suddenly the level of satisfaction increases. Your ability to move to the next step of recycling, reusing becomes much more. Everything just comes as a result of that. So just I think aim for reduction, and everything else will sort of follow through from there.
You're so right about it. People get scared and stressed out when you talk about sustainability. It should be gratifying but not stressful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and honestly, everyone can make a difference. There's a lot of rhetoric out there which says, what's the point when you're sitting in your air conditioning house? It's true. Maybe you're not having enough of an impact, but that small step that you take today will become something big tomorrow. And that's just a journey that you should just start and take on as quickly as you can.
Wow.
Look, and from a health standpoint, I would say prevention is a lot better than cure.
Absolutely.
So just because you grew up eating 3 meals a day doesn't mean that's appropriate beyond the age of 35. It's the 3rd meal literally that gets you in the end. I'm a big supporter and fan of intermittent fasting. It's a very traditional Indian concept.
Correct.
I fast 16 hours a day, so I only eat between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m.
Okay.
And it's made a tremendous difference to my health, and I strongly encourage people to take that up. There is really no need for the 3rd meal beyond the age of 35.
Yeah, even in our culture, it was never like a dinner like the one we eat at 8 or 7. It's always been 2 meals.
Right.
But then lunch, dinner, breakfast.
Before you go to the farm and after you come back to the farm. Those are literally the only 2 meals
Even I
that you
remember
can
my
have.
father doing that. He would leave home, having a full meal, and he would come back in the evening and have his second meal. That's all.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so lovely. It was such a beautiful experience, and thank you for letting us, explore your farm. And I hope I didn't intrude into your private spaces, but it was such a learning experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank you, Shilpa.
sharing your day with us.
Pleasure. Hope you all loved what we explored today with Ravi and Kavita. Stay tuned for more updates. Subscribe to my channel. See you all next week.